So at least like 10 years ago, I started brining our turkey, and I will never go back to basting it. It's worth the extra effort the night before. A lot of these ingredients are just pantry items for me that I always have in stock, so it's not like I'm going out and buying a whole bunch of different things. But even if you were missing a few of the spices, you could still totally do this. So the night before, I make this brine and I cook it in a stock pot. It like smells heavenly when I'm cooking it. You just want to eat it. It would be very salty, so I wouldn't suggest that, but it looks beautiful. It just takes about 10 minutes for the salt to dissolve and the sugar to dissolve in it, and then you let it cool completely. Like, it totally needs to be back to like room temperature or refrigerator temperatures before you put it in the cooler with the turkey. So this is a totally defrosted turkey. The night before Thanksgiving or the night before you're cooking it, you put it in the brine. Anyways, I want to just kind of talk about some of these items. For this recipe, you're going to need a full cup of salt. So make sure when you're checking off your pantry items before you go grocery shopping that you have a full cup of salt, not just what's in your salt shaker. So I normally use Celtic sea salt, which is on our Amazon cart, and I will grind it up before I use it. You could even use iodine salt from the store, any salt that you have on hand. I'm just going to warn you a little bit that if you use pink Himalayan salt, it might turn your meat a little bit pink. And that is my other little tip, is I like to put the cranberries in it. I think it looks beautiful, and it's just something that I have done over the years, but I have a meat thermometer. So using the cranberries and using pink Himalayan salt can make your meat look a little pink. So make sure if you're doing either one of those two things that you do have a meat thermometer and that you're checking the temperatures. So if it did turn a little pink, you know that it's from the cranberries or the pink salt, not because it's not cooked all the way. So that is just a pro tip there. So if you weren't using the cranberries, then this is what that would look like without it. So any kind of salt that you use, if it's coarse, I will grind it up to make it finer so it goes into the bird easier. And then I just normally have clementines around and I try to use them up, but you can use any kind of oranges to get the orange juice. You will want to squeeze the orange juice and put the whole rind in them. So I always make sure that I wash my produce, so I'm not putting any chemicals or mold spores or any of that stuff. So wash your oranges. We have a blog post about that too. Put a couple lemons in there, and then I always put an apple in there also when it's cooking. And then outside we have this huge rosemary bush, so I went out and grabbed a couple of those. So those I would make sure that are washed before I put them in the pan. And then I have some thyme and sage. So whatever the package has, I normally divide it in half, and I put half in the brine and then I leave half out to be able to use it for stuffing the bird the next day. So there's thyme and sage here. And then brown sugar. There's brown sugar in this. So I was kind of laughing about this. This is the first year that I'm doing it and I'm diabetic. So I always put apple juice and brown sugar in it. I do, if I'm making cookies or something, I do make monk fruit brown sugar, but I'm still putting apple juice in it. So if you are diabetic, I am noticing that some of my traditions might change a little bit, or I might just say it's okay for one day. So this is store-bought brown sugar, not my monk fruit brown sugar. And then I'm putting in a Treetop, it doesn't matter the brand, but Treetop apple cider, not just apple juice, but I like putting in apple cider as the liquid. And then I also have, these are really dark, but they are turkey stock. But any chicken stock or just vegetable stock will work too if you buy like it from the store. That's actually from our turkeys from last year that have been shelf stable and canned, and we have a recipe for this also. And you can freeze it if you don't know how to pressure can. So that's kind of like the things that you definitely need to have to make this. So these are kind of some of the extras that I put in. If you don't have one of these or some of them, it's okay. So black peppercorns, we're going to be using the whole spices so they don't dissolve and get weird in the water. So whole peppercorns is what I'm going to use, and cinnamon sticks, and then the star, I always worry about saying this wrong, anise. Well, if I said it wrong, you guys will all tell me. But anyways, and then we have the whole cloves. Oh, we have a whole allspice too. So if you didn't know, allspice isn't just a mixture of a bunch of different spices. It's actually its own plant. So these are allspice berries. That is what allspice looks like. A lot of people think it's like a mixture of a whole bunch of spices, but it's not. It's actually its own berry. So anyways, I would just put in, well, whatever the recipe says, but a few of each of these into the pot and cut the fruit and put them in with it, with the herbs and the liquid, and dissolve the sugar and the salt and just let it dissolve, and then turn it off the heat and let it cool. And then we use, I'm gonna just move this out of the way. We use this drink cooler when we're doing the brine, which comes in super handy. So I don't use it for anything else after we have put a turkey in it. I only use it for the brine now over like the last 10 years. But the turkey fits perfectly in there. So I put the brine in here and I fill it up with ice, about half the ice that I'm going to use. And then I put the turkey down in here, which this will hold. I've had like a 24-pound turkey in here before. And then I make sure that the liquid covers the turkey and add some more ice to it if I need to. And then this just sits right here in my kitchen overnight. If you do have littles, you might want to put it in a pan or something so they don't help you with the spout. So when we did have littles in the house, we were extra careful with it. So just a warning there, but it will keep the turkey at a safe temperature overnight, and then it will give you a little bit more room in the refrigerator to put the sides that you're preparing the night before they go into the oven. And that is how we make the brine for our turkey.